Thank you for attending and welcome back to Danger Aware Animation Department. We're going to be working on the part 4 of any SemRel improving the puppet. Originally this was any small red ant, but I renamed it halfway through the process. So today we're going to be doing digital DNA for any small rel. So let's get to it. If you'll notice, this puppet's number is quite a bit larger than what we were at the last video, which was, I believe, version 5. Now we're on version 16. And the reason is because this character was improperly built in an older version of Moho. And now using the new Moho, I was making a lot of things happen that caused a lot of lost work. So I've done a lot of things. I've gotten up to version 16. So there's a lot of corrections in the puppet that will not be covered in my video. I apologize. I had a lot of things to figure out. So here we go from here forward. Just understand I had some errors. So I apologize that I've corrected some things that are not going to be in the video. So for instance, you know, the antenna, I think, were moving back and forth a bit when I was here last time, and the eye was still making a little bit of change here and there, and the abdomen of the body down here when I went back and forth was having a large change, and I've still got a little bit on the abdomen here happening. So maybe we'll find that and fix that, and it might, you know, help people who are struggling with fixing their own issues with puppets they've created. So another thing you're going to notice is I've got this AO down here in the corner. And what it is because we're going to be able to create octillions of characters. Once we create one we want to keep, we need to know what identity it has. So what position were all these levers in when we produce that character. So I tried this already once with numbers and it works, which is part of the problem. I found out where the problem was. So I had the idea about doing the identity for the character, and I was trying to implement that, and so I did here, and you can see it's all numbers here. The problem is that makes it a 39-digit number, which is pretty long. But what I've done is so that when I move these levers, it changes the numbers. So each lever changes a different number set, and so once we finally adjusted and gotten our character set up, then we have an identity number here that we can say this is who this character is. Now, as you can see, the only thing working here are the numbers. I was not working on working out the character. Now let's see. So see here, you can see there's the eye was flicking up and back, and the legs are still not right here. So I apologize that I've worked all those problems out. I don't want to start over because I've started over 4 times, and like I said, it's just frustrating to lose so much work and it not be my fault. At least I don't think it was my fault. It could be my fault. I don't know yet why it happened exactly. I just know the process I was going through when it happened. So I'm going to avoid that process. So now I've got a character ID set up over here that was not here in the last video. And as you can see, I started off just naming them A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. And do that in the styles. I also created colors for each of those letters so that the numbers here would correspond to the color of the letter, which corresponds to the color here. So I'm going to now go in on each of the bones here and color them to match this layout here. So the first one's going to be, of course, blue. The second one, cadet blue. It's not hard, it's just right in order. So I've tried to be consistent throughout, so this should match. Just going straight through and selecting the next color on each one. And it's not like you can really see a whole big difference unless you zoom in, you know, but it just helps things along to have things color coded to exactly what we're looking at. So now we'll be able to know, okay, so this is red, so we're going to look for the red number down here to see which number, you know, we need to have. It's just a way of helping us identify things. So now we get to the end of the list. Here's our last color, yellow. We just start over. And the thing about Moho is it takes this into consideration. And so the second blue and the second cadet blue are actually different color than the original blue, cadet blue. In fact, look here, you can see it. So you can see there's the original blue. And then here's the next level of blue. And I think when you make the third one, it goes back to the same as the first one. And it does that over here too. If you go into too many colors in your list here for one particular group, say you have too many colors, when it starts over, the new color is a slightly different color. I've done that on a character with a lot of abdomen. I can't remember. I think maybe it was the dragonfly cockpit. So anyway, now all of our bones are the right colors for the color of the output here. That's what the color coordination is. It's also coordinated here, but the point was to coordinate it here. So what do I have here? What I have in each one of these is a list of letters and a list of numbers, and we will go through them as needed, and we're only seeing what's coming through the view panel. I created in each one of these, there's an alpha list, there's a ones list, and there's a viewport. So you can see here the alpha list, it goes down this way, and the number list goes the other direction. It just happened to work out that way because of the way I laid everything out. But I started with numbers, and then when I put in the letters, it was easier just to do A through Z, and then you have to import it as a document. It's convoluted, and it would be a lot of work to show somebody how to do this. So maybe in another video on another character, I'll go through creating all of this. But right now, I'm just going to go through how we're going to use it. So we're going to create all these actions for the digital DNA. And let me put a text up there just so anybody watching the video knows what I'm talking about. Okay. And we're just going to put this over here. And it needs to be inside the code. There we go. So we've got our digital DNA over here. Just so you know what I'm talking about. It's all of these. And why is this digital DNA? Because by using digits, well, I was using 1 through 10, 3 sets of it. You know, like I said, that made a 39-digit number out here. So anyway, digital DNA is simply where each of these levers represents we'll say one chromosome, and we can alter that chromosome on the character. So let me bring up any B, because I think I completed that one. I could be wrong, But let's go into bees here, and honeybee, and any bee, and so here's any bee, and you can see I've got the digital DNA turned on over here where you can see what each chromosome is for. And in this one I just made all the colors the same because I wasn't thinking about the numbers and such. But as we change these, we alter who the character is. And so we can create 8 Octillion bees on the fly in just a few moments here. So we can go to extremes, or, you know, there's a super bee kinda and then emaciated. But the point is we can digitally change each of these, and each of these has 140 different possible positions. And with 140 possible positions times 13, you know, 140 times 140 times 140 times 140, we get 8 Octillion possible characters. If someone else was to come in here and try to create the exact same character I've got showing here, it would be very hard for them to do. So that's the point of, you know, the ability to do this. Now, with Moho gives us the ability to hide certain bones, and you can designate certain bones to be shy bones. What is a shy bone? It's a bone that you can use, but when you're done using it, you don't want to see it because you don't want it to change. So I have designated all of these as shy bones. So if we actually go to the bone and look at it, you can see here's the check mark, and it says that it's a shy bone. We can also turn on the label here. So you can see there the skull size is on and off. So with the shy bones, we can go over here to bones and say hide or show the shy bones. So whatever it's currently doing with shy bones, it's going to toggle it. So if we can see them, then we're not going to be able to see them. And now this character is locked in. Well, not really, because I did it in the construction zone. If I had done it in the animation layer, then it would have preserved that character. Well, maybe it did. Let's see. It's preserved it. Okay, so now I have this random bee that I've created. It's a character that we need on the fly. We can give it a name if we need to, or not. Just have it walking in the background, or carrying parts, or sorting pollen. Whatever we need that bee to be doing, it's fully usable right now. It is a posable, articulatable character. We can do all this and that. We can go into the hands, and we can use those to the full extent that we can move the fingers and everything. So I don't have the latest hand here because there's only one lever. The second lever here will give us the ability to change the overlapping of which fingers can overlap. So right now we cannot tell, you know, this finger is the only one that's going to be on top. This one's going to be in the middle, and this one's going to be on the bottom every time. Well, sometimes we don't want that. Sometimes we want to be able to change that. I've taken our hands to the next level with that. These bones all relate to exactly this part of the body. So these are all related to the eyes. These are both eyes here, and then the head, turn, and tilt. Okay, so we can tilt the head and turn the head. All right, and then we've got these for the facial, you know, the mouth. So each of these bones changes how the mouth operates, or what it looks like at the moment. And we can smile, or, you know, frown, and work the jaw and work the lips, all separately to produce just about any shape we want. And if we open the mouth all the way, we can see that we've got the tongue. We can make it wide, we can make it narrow, we can up and down with it. We can change the points and whether it's a square, the whole bit. So that's all inside the mouth. Now when these are all in their neutral positions, and say we need to do a lip syncing of speech, then we come over here to this, and this is our phonetic mouth. And what this does, it gives us a phonetic chart where we can see each of the various mouth shapes that we might need. So you just rotate this to get that shape, and as you'll notice, both the lips and the tongue bones are moving when I move this bone. So what I did was I caused those bones to be moved by this bone. And the beauty of this is, I didn't know this when I started playing around with it, but if we wanted to say make him whispering, we could bring his mouth close like that, and bring his lips down close and the jaw up. And then all of these shapes still work, but they're muted to a whisper facial expression. So we could have the character whisper and say, okay, just do it this way, and we can get the best of it. Okay, so, or if you wanted the character shouting, you can do that. And now all those mouth shapes work as shouts. So that's what I've done here with these facial feature bones that are straight across from the mouth. And of course we don't want to see the phoneme wheel during our animation, so we only turn it on to set the mouth position, and then we turn it off, and it's not going to show up in our animation. So you can turn that off and on if you need it, or you can just scroll around to the shape of the mouth you're looking for and go with that. So there we go. And like I said, we can go really heavy frown, really heavy smile, really open big, really close tight, open the jaw up and down, which takes the bottom teeth down with it. So if we opened it up, you can see the jaw and the bottom teeth come up with the gums there. So we can see the teeth chomp, chomp, chomp. And then we've got the arms up and down here to allow the bug to come down and act like he's flying. So we can put all the 6 legs towards us, rotate the abdomen like this, and now we've got the character flying at us. These are of course the wings individually, and just like with the mouth, I've got wing controls, and so if we want him to be flapping on the right side of his body, we can do that like this, and it affects the wings however they started. They are also carried over into this. So now we get this right back in the center, then the wings go back to center. And this is flapping center, so we can make it like he's flying towards us, and then this is flapping on the left side of the character. So that's all these are, just to make things easy for the animator to get quickly to what they're after, whether they want the wings to be on one side or the other and flapping. If they're flapping, then this works really well to, you just flap up, move it a few bars, flap it down, and the character flaps its wings. And we can do all kinds of neat things with all of that. So the point is though, the character's locked in all the way through because we've hidden the DNA controls. So if we say, we need to change it, it's got to be his brother or his close cousin, we can go back into bones and show the shy bones, and now we can see the digital DNA. We can alter the character to whatever we want it to be. So just like this, I guess it didn't preserve it because we weren't in the animation layer like I had thought. So you must be in the animation layer to then lock it in. So you'll lock it in here by hiding the shy bones. So now this character will stay the same. But because I did it in the timeline, he will convert back to his original look over here. So I shouldn't have done it in the timeline, but from here forward, he's going to stay looking at the same look. So that's the point of digital DNA. I'm not going to save those changes. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm creating digital DNA, for each of the parts of this character, so we can have 8 octillion different semblant relatives. Okay, so we start by choosing this bone, and like I said, I did this the other day. Yes, I have to do it a different way completely than I did then. So we're going to just start with creating a new action. And that's going to be skull size. So the first thing we do is rotate that bone to its first position, which would be, you know, the minimal position, which is in frame 1 here. And then we're going to jump to 141, which gives us 140 positions, plus a cutoff in the middle. So from 1 to 70 is 70 positions. At 71, we're going to be in our center where we reset everything. And then from 72 to 141 is another 70. 70 plus 70 plus 1. So 141. And that's where we want to be for our maximum change in the DNA or this chromosome. So this chromosome is only going to affect the skull size. So we don't need these on at the moment. So I'm going to close up the character IDs there. We're going to go down and find the skull, which should be in the head and shoulders. And there's the skull. So for our minimal skull, what we're going to do, we're going to just grab these top 2 points here, hit T so that they're joined as a group, and then holding Alt, I'm going to shrink that skull down to the absolute minimum it could go. And we got to think about, well, there's going to be some eyes there. So let's only go to, let's go about right there, because with small eyes, they're going to actually disconnect from the head. But out of 8 octillion, we can avoid the few 100,000 that would have that kind of a head. So we'll just stop it there, and it'll be up to the animator to make sure that we're making characters that are viable. So now I'm going to grab the bones for the antennae, because the antennae are not connected, and T, and then Shift, and we're just going to drag it straight over. Because at this point it's basically the same exact position up and down, it's just moving over. And as you can see, this ends up crossing the antenna, which is fine. We can have antenna crossed characters. So there's our minimal. Oh, this was supposed to be maximum. It should be a 1 for the minimal. So let's redo this down here. All right. All right, I'm going to start all over here. Let's reset the skull at 140. Or no, let's just drag it all the way to 1. That should revert the head. 71, we're going to go back to normal, so we're going to reset. And then at 141, we want it to be extremely large. So I'm going to hold Alt, grab this edge, and drag it out. And I'm just going to go till right hitting these crosshairs on this bone set there. So there'll be the maximum head, and that's normal, and that'll be the small head. So that's the first digital DNA chromosome. So if we go to our bone layer, and we go into the animation frame, we can now manipulate that bone and change the skull size. the bones. Oh, I must not have redone the antenna. So let's go back in. And we're going to bring the antennas in. So we hit T and Shift, drag. And this one. And that's a little too far on this side and not far enough on this side. There we go. That way they're crossing right together. They come to a point. Alright, and then at the extreme on the other end at 141, we want to move these antennae out and up a bit. Oops, I didn't want to move it that way. Just going to move it up and right above the eyeball. So our ants with wide set antennae is because their head is wide set. So now if we scroll through the possibilities and we get to 71, then we need to reset each of those bones. So I'm just going to grab both of them and then reset their position. That's all we need to reset because it's all we affected. If you reset more than you affect, it can come back to bite you later because you'll see effects that you want changed and you don't know where they're being changed. So only reset those items that you're actually changing in that action. Alright, so now we can go back to the main line and we can test our digital DNA for skull size. And I missed out something on there because it stops moving. Let's go double check. I think I must not have rolled the bar. Yeah, I didn't. So we needed to move this to the maximum position for number 141. Oops, I'm on 140. So just drag this all to 141, and there we go. So now it should work. Alright, so yeah, there we go. There's the big head, there's the little, and in between. So now we need to assign it so we get some identity out of this. So let's go back in. So now we're going to work with the identity. And this is going to be the A, or the skull size part. So we want to start the A first, of course, and then for the ones, we want to start at 0, of course. So our first position is A0. But then we're going to move to position 2, and now we want the number to change. So I'm going to grab the numbers layer. So we grab ones over here because I did ones, tens, hundreds. So I just left it as ones. So now we pick this up and holding shift, we drag the 1 down to where it's just right where the 0 was. Alright, then we move ahead. Let's move back 1 and make sure that the 0 resets to its proper position. So hit reset here, there we go. So now we move to 3, and at 3 we want to see the number 2. So we're going to be 1 number less than our position on the timeline. So we just go through all of these to go through all 10 possibilities. And I'm using the keyboard cursor arrow to move to the next position in the timeline. And then I move the number down holding shift so it stays centered where it belongs. go, and then it goes back to reset. So we're going to just reset the position. So now, as we move the lever, it's going to jump through these numbers and then back to the beginning. And so what we need to do is copy those, and well, all but the, well, we can copy all but the first one. The first one is 0 again, so we're going to Control C to copy, then we're going to move forward one and paste. Then we're going to move one past that and paste, and one past that and paste, and so on. Now I could do this and grab all of these except for the first one and copy, and then come here and then paste a whole bunch of them. So we should always be on frame 102 to paste, which should start with the number 1. Yeah. So that's exactly like we should be. So, and we're only going to 140. So once we're at 150, we don't even need to worry about it for this particular bone effect, because our stop advancing at 140 or 141. Sorry. So now we've got to go back through, and then when we get to each extended point, so when we get to 10 here, we're now ready to advance the lettering. So we now go over here to alpha, and we do basically the same thing. We start at 0 and make sure we set that alpha is reset at this position. Then we go to position 11, and we're going to pick up the layer, and holding shift, bring it up so the B comes into view. Now the B is just selected for color changing, so no, it doesn't actually look like that. It's going to look like these A's over here. Anyway, so now we go to 21, and at 21 we advance to C. At 31 we advance to D. At 41, E. 51, F. And so there's no quick way to do this. We've just got to do each position. 61. I think I missed that last one. That looks like 53. Let's see here. 52. Yep, 51. It was 53. Alright, so then G's there. Then H. Oops, back one. There we go. Then 81 is I. 91, J. 101, K. 11, L. 121, M. 131 is N. And 141 is O. And again, we don't need to go any further. And you can see there's a difference between the O and the 0. They're obviously not the same character. So there we go. That's the number lettering process. So if we go back out now to the main character and to the main line, and we go into the animation layer, let's delete all prior animation. So we're now at the center, and you can see it's now showing H0 because we're at this center point. And if we rotate the DNA bar the numbers change. Now they're changing with the rolling letters, and I need to fix that. That's not a good way to do it. So let's go into those rolling letters. So we go back to the alpha track, and all we need to do is duplicate the entire line, control copy, and then go to one position before the prior ones and paste it there, and that should lock in the letter until the moment it changes. So now it'll stay B until it gets to C, and then it'll stay C until it gets to D, and so on. So there we go. Let's go back out, go back to the main bone layer, manipulate, and now we can see the values change instantly for each position of this digital DNA chromosome. So our first chromosome for skull size is done, and it is giving us the value as well. So at this point, I am going to save the character as a new number. So we're going to go to 17, and like I said, you can see all the work I did over the weekend. All that wasn't there in the last video. Here we're going to do the eye size. So we create a new action called eye size. Now this is going to be easier than the last one, and it's because we can copy and paste some things. So let's rotate first to the minimal position, jump to 141, rotate to the maximum position so that part's out of the way. Now we want to change the eyes, so we're going to go in and, well, first let me show you this easy thing. We're going to copy the alpha from skull size. So we're going to go into skull size, and here's the timeline for our alpha, and I'm just going to copy that. Control C to copy. Then I'm going to jump back to eye size and go into alpha for eye size, and then paste with Control V. And so now I've got the numbers for the lettering in the change for this bone, for this chromosome. Chromosome bone. Chromosome bone. Okay, so now we do the same thing for our numbers. So we go to the ones. But we have to be in skull size where we created them. Now we just copy all those. Control C to copy, and then we go back to eye size, and we go into the ones for eye size and paste. So now we've got the numbers taken care of already. That's easy. So now we're going to go in and do the actual DNA work. So we've got the chromosome changing. Now we need to change the actual parts. So we need to go again to the character's facial features again. And so here's the head, and inside the head we have the left eye and the right eye and the mouth. So we're going to start with the left eye, and we're just going to grab its layer, and then we're going to change the XY of the value relative to where we're at on the timeline. So since we're in position 1 on the timeline, we want these to be the smallest eyes, so we're going to just make them half the size they normally are. So 50% and 50%. So then we jump to the right eye. Same thing. We're just going to reduce it to 50% and 50%. And because we're changing the layer, those numbers are retained in our values and what we're doing. So now we're going to jump to 141, which is the maximum, and we're going to make it 150% of what it was. Now sometimes I like to use 25 and 175 And sometimes I like to use 50 and 150. And on the eyes, it's 50 and 150, but on most of the other parts, it's 25 and 175. So 50 here, whoops, or 150 here, and 150 here. And all I need to do is put the 1 in there and press enter. And so there's our biggest eyes, and we can jump down to our minimum eyes. And as we can watch the timeline, or the ID numbers, we can see that those are changing. So that's correct. So we're going to go to 71, and at this point, we want to just reset those eyes back to 100%, and you can see that they are, but I still like to hit that reset button just to be sure on each part. So there we go. We've got the next chromosome bone finished. So we can go back to the character, jump into the animation frame, grab the manipulate bone tool, and we can now change the size of the eyes, and we can see that the numbers max out. 0, not 0, 0, 0, 0. So you can see it's H0, H0, O0. Maybe we should take the O out. Jump right over it. We could do that. I think I will. I think we want to not have the confusion of O and 0. So let's just do that real quick. We're going to go back to the skull size, and at the maximum position is where the O shows up. So let's see, and it is only the last position. So that's real easy. We just go into the ID and then into the alpha, and we're just going to move the alpha layer from N to P. So there will be no O show up because it will just jump to P. Now it's going to go back because we've got that set afterwards, so we're just going to change that there as well. So there we go. Now we've got our LMNP. So we won't have any confusions. And I don't think there's any other letters that are going to be confused with numbers here. So I think we're fine. So then we're going to do the eye size the same way. So we jump into eye size. And we've got to jump into alpha on eye size. And with its layer, we're going to go to 141. Or actually to 141, and that's where it changes. Prior to 141, it's on N. So at 141, we're going to grab and hold Shift and just bring it up to P. And then jump to the last position here at 150 and put the P up there as well. That way it just doesn't migrate. Alright, so now when we copy those from here forward, we won't have to worry about the O's at all. It's already out. So we won't have any O character ID numbers, letters. So let's go back and check and double check if everything is working. So now, pull this character to A0 and P0. There is no O0. And same thing here. P0. And we can see the eyes getting larger and smaller. And again, the skull, we can make it very small. So let's see what happens when we... Oh, the eyes do not disconnect. I'm surprised. They stay connected throughout. So we could possibly make that skull smaller. Let's go do that. I like that idea. So skull size. And at lowest position, we go to the skull. We grab those 2 points that we messed with before. And we're going to just shrink those on in. So Alt, and we're going to drag them to right there. And because they seem a little bit off, I'm going to bring this one on over to there. So now, let's go back to the main line. And we'll test everything here. We need to be on the bone layer. And manipulate bone. And huge skull, little eyes. Little eyes, big eyes, little skull. So it stays attached. Let's see how it turns. It doesn't stay attached in the turn. Okay, well, whoops, I don't want to be in the animation layer. And we're going to create a new action for antenna size. So we rotate the chromosome bone all the way to the left. We go to 141 and rotate it all the way to the right. And this is antenna, so we can just grab the bones just like that and hit T. And for large, I'm going to change the scale to 175. And for the minimal position, we're going to drop it to 25. All right. At 71, we want to reset. So the scale only. And there we go. And so we go back to the, oh, nope, not yet. Now we're going to go to close down A, and we're going to go into B alpha. And we're going to go back to I size. And we're going to copy the time line from I size for the alpha. So Control C to copy. And we go into antenna size to alpha and Control V. Oops, Control Z. First we change to the antenna size and then we paste. Alright, now we go back to I size and we go to the numbers. For I size and copy those key points. Control C. We go back into antenna size and to the ones and Control V. So now we're done with that. We're going to close up B so we don't use it anymore. We're going to go from C next time. And we're going to go back to the bone layer and we're going to go back to the main line. And we want to be able to see our digital DNA numbers and letters. So let's zoom to where we can see those. And go into the animation frame 1, pick up the manipulate bone tool, test everything. So there's antenna moving with the skull size change, the eyes changing, and the antenna size. D9. We're connected on both sides. So anything over D9 for skull size with huge eyes will work. But small eyes, it won't matter. We can still go to this. Oh, no, it shouldn't be doing that. Oh, it's because when I rotate, they're going to overlap because they're expanding on where they are. I think if I put bones to affect those points, I might be able to do it. Because if we do it with the bones, then the points won't be overlapping each other when we turn the head. Let's try it. Let's see if it'll work and we'll all learn together. So we're going to go to the construction layer. And we're going to go to the main line, and we're going to go to the bone layer, and we're going to go to grab a bone and grab the skull here. I'm going to zoom in close, and we're going to add 2 bones right here. So one goes over to this side, and grab this bone again and add. The other one goes to this side. Now we need to remove the strength from each of those bones. And let's go ahead and name them skull left and right. So this left skull. And right skull. And then we're going to go to the skull itself over here. And it seems as if it's bound by the entire layer. So we need to go in and release it. So we're going to release layer and points. And then we're going to use B for bone. And then I. And then we'll select the entire head and bind those points. So it's exactly like it was now, except now we're going to grab this bone and we're going to bind this point here to that bone. And then we're going to come over here and grab this bone and then and bind this point to that bone. Okay, so now this is going to affect our head up and down and our head left and right. And maybe jaws too, maybe not. But that should just be, skull size, of course. So let's go to skull size first and see what it's doing there. Okay, so what we want to do is eliminate the changing of the skull at all right now. So it's just going to delete all of that. Now, at the minimal position, we want the skull to come inward, so what we're going to do is grab the bones, go to the bone layer, B for bone, and grab this bone and shift to grab this bone. Then T, and I'm just going to use Alt and drag them inward. Oh, that's not working. Just grab the tip and move it, I guess. Shrink it down. There we go. So now I'm shrinking the skull by moving these bones instead of the points. So let's go there. That's about where we were. Let's take it to as tight as we can and see what happens. So right there, we're getting the stroke inside the eyes. Let's take it right there. And now we go to 141, and we want to stretch those bones outward. Not that far. And to right about there. And then at 71, we're going to reset those bones positions, or scales. Yeah, just a scale. So now, let's take a look at skull or head left and right. Well, it didn't seem to affect that. Because the skull is not turning, the bone is not turning for the skull, just the drawing is. Alright, so let's see up and down. The bones aren't moving where they probably should be. But, well, because we're changing the drawing, I may need to change that so that the skull moves, those bones move up and down instead. Now, let's go out and check the animation line and see. So we go into the animation frames, and now we want to get little bitty skull, great big eyes. They're slightly disconnecting there, and then we're going to rotate the head. So they're still disconnecting, but we're no longer getting that weird overlapping of the points. So we still have to work within probably D4, D5. What was it? There's D1. So let's see. That works now that the skull is the right shape on both sides. So let's see. We can go right there. So that is C7. So we can go as low as C7 when we have giant eyes. So I just had a thought. I was watching the video for editing, and I had a thought about the way I did the eyes here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the main line, and I'm going to go to the skull. Yeah. So we go down to the skull. And actually the eyes. So I'm going to bind this eye. Currently it's bound to the eye, or the center bone. Then we're going to go back to the bone layer, the main line, and the construction layer. And I'm going to add a pin bone. So we're going to grab this bone and just add, and I'm going to add a pin bone. Then I'm going to grab this bone and add, and then a pin bone. So now that pin bone, the pin bone will be pulled with the skull bones. But we can now bind the eyes to those pin bones. But first let's go back and remove their strength, because they both have strength applied on them. And we need to name them. So this one will be the left eye, and this one will be the right eye. And what we're going to do is move those pin bones inward. Let's put them where the center of the eye is. I wonder if that will give us the effect we want. So let's try it out. Let's see how this is affecting this. Okay, the only changes I'm seeing are in the mouth. Alright, so here. Big skull. Little skull. They still cross. I have an idea. No, that won't work. No, it could work. Let's try it. I'm thinking and not talking, I know. Inside skull size. When we get to, let's see, 48. When we get to 48, let's start migrating the pin bones outward so they can't cross. So the selected one is the character's right eye. So we're going to move that, holding shift. Just going to move it right there. And then fold this one right there. You need to touch at the center. We want to move them in again because we want to end up with an average basically. So right now we'll move them a little bit away from the center. Jump to 12. It's a little too far out still, so we'll bring it in. Well, they came back in at 48. Let's move them out a little more here. Let's go right there. So let's see how that. We don't want it moving outward. So we're going to go 30 here, seems to be the farthest point out. So let's bring it on in a little more. So the eyes are going to do some weird things during changing of the character. I think here. Alright. So the eyes don't change as much with the skull exactly, but that's no big deal. We're still getting a different character. So let's go back out now. And we're going to test how the head turns. So the eyes are staying attached. That's huge. Let's go to tiny skull. And so they stay attached to each other. That's better than it was. And let's go like right there. That works. And looks like right there we lose it. Maybe the easiest would be just to make them touching from here down. Let's take out all this other stuff. And then here, they're touching. At 12 they're not, but we can make them. Alright. So I still ended up having to affect a lot of different spots, but there we're keeping them in the center. Now they're offset. Let's see. Here, this one should be there. Here, why are they so they go out. Oh, and then they're coming back into the bone. Let's go ahead and put it at the tip of the bone. Okay. 71. We're going to reset everything. So, we need to reset the bones. So we'll just B for bone and grab these two, hold shift and grab these two and reset. Position and scale. So, so sure about the eyes separating, but it's because we're moving along the bone. Let's see. Now we'll leave it. Different kinds of eyes, different kinds of faces. So now we can see that it's still connecting to the skull. Even when it gets too small, the eyes are now connected. And with the large, they're really out there. But it works. So I think that was worth the extra effort to figure that out. So we're good to go. I was thinking we could also force the size of the eyes down as it gets smaller, but we're already affecting eye size with another bone, so I think we'll just leave it like this. We get all kinds of different ant heads. So there we've got 3 of our digital DNAs. Let's move on to the next chromosome. So what do we got here? We've got beard size. So we're going to create a new action. Beard size. Again, we're going to go down to the skull. And we're going to grab these points at the bottom of the beards here. This is not a beard, it's actually representative of mandibles, but when talking to children, let's call it beard. Alright, so we bring that down to there. Oh wait, we're in the wrong direction. We're at the minimal, so we're going to go to there. No beard at all. And then for 60 or 141, we bring it all the way down. And about right there. And at 71, we reset. And then we go to the antenna size. And we're going to go to the alpha on antenna size and copy the alphabet type. And we're going to go into the beard size action and the beard size alpha and Control V, and there's our alpha. We go back to the antenna size We go into antenna size numbers or ones, and we copy that timeline. Go back into beard size, go into the ones, and paste. Not rotate the bone. You gotta rotate the bone. If you want the DNA to work, you've gotta rotate the bone. Both directions. Now, we can go back. And now we've got different beard sizes. All the way from none to very long. And always check, make sure everything's working. Yep. And we've got our numbers changing right here. Oops. Green, and then the next one's going to be orange. So let's clear the animation from the document and go back to the construction layer and save as 18. Alright, so now we go to the next one, which is mouth size. First thing we do is rotate the bone to the minimal position. Jump to 141. I keep missing it. And rotate to the maximum position. This time we're going to be working with the mouse. Close up the antenna size, so we have the beard size up here. And we're going to open up the mouth for their size. And then we go down to the mouth. And here we have the mouth. So for maximum, we're going to go at 175. There's the big mouth. Jump down to position 1. For the small mouth, we're going to go 25 and 25. So the character can have a very tiny mouth. That's probably too tiny, I think. Let's go 50 and 50 instead. Yeah, that's better. And on the 175, that might be a bit much. Let's take it down to 150. Yeah, that's plenty big. Okay, so at 71, we want to reset, and it's already at the right shape and size, but we always want to hit reset anyway. And now we need to go in and copy the numbers from beard size. So we're going to go to beard size and to the alpha, and we're going to copy the timeline. Control C, and we go back to mouth size and to the alpha for mouth and paste. And we go back to beard size for ones, copy that. Alright, and we go back into mouth size and to ones for mouth and paste. So now we get out to the main line. We go back to bone layer. Going to go back to the construction layer. Clear all animation. Move on to the next digital DNA, which is cheek size. Create a new action. Rotate the chromosome bone all the way to the left. Jump to 141 and rotate it all the way there. So on cheek size, we go back to the skull again. Go ahead and close that ID open, the next step. And now we're going back to skull, and we're just going to grab these 2 points for the cheeks. Right there. And for maximum cheek size, we're going to hit T, and then using Alt, I'm going to drag those way out. Let's go about there. And then for the one position, we'll bring them in. We may need to do bones for these as well, but probably not, because I'm not bringing it anywhere as near to the center, and our mouth is on the inside, not the outside of that center. So there's our minimum. Let's go to 71. And as you can see, we're not half and half, but we can go ahead and just hit the reset here. And now we're good to go. Alright, and now we go back to beard size. Go into the ID of alpha. Oh, not beard size, mouth size. Grab the mouth size alpha. Control C. Go back into cheek size. Change to cheek size alpha. And paste. Go back to mouth size. Go into ones. Copy the ones timeline. Control C to copy. Go into the cheek size. Go to the cheek size ones and paste. So now we go back to the main line. Bone layer. And I think we're done with this digital DAA. I think you understand what we're doing now, so we just get rid of that sign. We don't need it. And now we're going to go into the animation frame, and we're going to move on to our middle DNA, which is heft. This is the one that takes probably the most work. So we're going to create new action. We're going to rotate to the minimal position, jump to 141, and rotate to the maximum position. So in the maximum position, the character is going to be very hefty. Let's close down mouth and open up heft and go down. And the first thing we're going to affect with heft is the arms. So I'm going to open up these arms and go to the forearm. And as you can see, the 2 points are already selected, so I'm going to hit T to grab those. And then I'm just going to change their value by scale. And this is for the Y scale. We're going to go to 25. Then we're going to go to the bicep, and it's already selected. Again, Y, we're going to go to 25. Whoops, not 52. All right, then we're going to go to the next forearm. Again, Y goes to 25. And the biceps, the Y goes to 25. So there's our very skinny, oh, not 25, I did it all wrong. That should have been at the other end again. I keep doing that. Well, let's just grab these and move them to the minimal position. I think there's a way to grab them for all features that we're working on. want to introduce anything extra. So that was easy to fix. So slide them down to the other end of the line and then go down there. And then at 71, we want everything to reset. So reset. 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 And reset. And then at the maximum, 141, we want it to go 200%. Let's go huge. That didn't change. Oh, we want to change Y, 200. There we go. So forearm, we're just going to go 200. Now it looks silly if he's getting big arms and not getting big legs to go with them. So let's go down to the legs. So we've got thigh, shin, and so on. So we're going to go into the thigh, and we're at the big end, so we want to be at 200%. Okay, and then the shin, 200 on the X. That's the difference. On the arms it was Y, on the legs it's X because it's going the other direction. And then the back legs, same thing. All right, and then we go back to the minimal position for the legs, and they're going to be 25%. So 25. Whoops. And finally, all right, so there is our emaciation. Now we need to go back to 71 and reset each of those objects or those parts to their rest state. They always need to return to their rest state at the center of the action when you're using the same numbers on both sides of the action restraints. Now if you change those restraints, it changes where you put your 0, but it still has to be there and should still be reset. Alright, so there is heft, and we're just going to go up to the top here, main line, the bone layer, let's clear all animation from prior attempts. and then we're going to manipulate this bone. So the character can be very skinny or very hefty, and anything in between. So there's our next digital DNA. Clear all animation, go to the construction layer, choose the next bone. And before I do that, I'm going to save. So save as, and this will be 19. And that's because the heft takes so much work. The only other one that takes as much would be sex. So changing the character to look more or less male or female. Well, sorry folks, I cut out that last finalization of video. No way to get it back now. I just have to go and redo everything. But I got all the bones done. Let's show you the shy bones that I just hid. So when we move into this timeline, here's the character I came up with by manipulating all of these bones. So our digital DNA is fully functional now. We can change any feature of the character by adjusting the bones over here. And once we've got what we want, we simply say, okay, let's save that by locking the bones and hiding the shy bones. So now that character's locked in for the rest of this animation. Alright, that's it, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching and you learned anything, hit that like button, hit subscribe, visit dangeraware.org and help us change the paradigm of abuse awareness. If you have ideas for our cartoons and comics or new characters, comment below. We're looking for help of all kinds. If you are a writer, you'd like to do some writing for us, we could use that too. If you are an animator and you have Moho, we can send you copies of our puppets and you can create some animations for us. We are a public charity. We are owned by the public, so literally all of these belong to you just as much as they belong to me. So even though I'm the one doing the work, you guys can benefit from owning these puppets as well. And if you could produce something for us for our website to help teach kids to recognize and call out the early stages of abuse, then please help us. We would appreciate it. Thanks again. Come again, and next time we'll work on another puppet. I don't know what yet, but check back later. Maybe I'll be adding the number system to our other characters. So have a great day, and thanks again for watching. Here's a quick video from this character.
Hello! Start talking.
The Pirate.
This newscast is brought to you by dangeraware.org.
Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that lives next door. Danger, danger, could be a stranger, could be the one that you adore. Watch for the things that danger.